Hey, have you ever found any specific grammar rules or concepts in English that you find difficult to grasp? Oh yeah, definitely. The whole who versus whom thing always gets me confused. I mean, when do you use one over the other? I get that. It can be tricky. Generally, who is used as the subject of a sentence, and whom is used as the object. Like, who is coming to the party? And whom did you invite to the party? Right, but it still feels a bit formal, you know. I often find myself second-guessing even in casual conversations. Totally get it. Another one that throws me off is the difference between affect and effect. I can never remember which one is a verb and which is a noun. Oh, that's a good one. I think affect is the verb, and effect is the noun, but it's hard to keep straight sometimes. Exactly. It's like, the new policy will affect our work versus the new policy will have a positive effect on our work. It sounds right when you say it, but when you're writing, it can be a real head-scratcher. Agreed. And what about commas? I can never figure out when to use them. Sometimes it seems like too many, and other times it feels like not enough. Oh, commas can be a real puzzle. I think it's about pauses and separating ideas, but I often end up either overusing them or neglecting them altogether. Yeah, exactly. It's like I need a comma sense, you know. And don't even get me started on semicolons. When do you use those? Oh, semicolons are a whole different ball game. I think you use them to connect closely related independent clauses, but I'm never quite sure if a regular comma or a semicolon is the way to go. It's like there's this fine line between proper punctuation and overthinking it. English can be a bit of a maze sometimes. Tell me about it. But hey, at least we're not alone in this struggle. English grammar seems to keep everyone on their toes. True, true. It's just one of those things you keep learning and relearning. And don't even mention prepositions, they always mess with me. Like, is it on the table or at the table? Oh, prepositions are sneaky. I know what you mean. And then there's the whole fewer versus less dilemma. I can never remember if it's fewer people or less people. Right? It's like there's an invisible rulebook, and I missed the memo. And what about irregular verbs? Some just don't follow any pattern, and I end up second-guessing myself. Ugh, irregular verbs are the bane of my existence. I mean, who decided that go, went, and gone should be a thing? It feels like English is intentionally trying to trip us up. Absolutely. And speaking of trips, don't get me started on the difference between travel and trip. I mean, they seem interchangeable, but are they really? I think travel is more about the act of moving from one place to another, and trip is a specific journey or excursion. But yeah, it can be a bit fuzzy sometimes. Fuzziness is the name of the game with English, I guess. It's just a language full of quirks and exceptions. Totally. But you know, despite all the confusion, I kind of love the intricacies of English. It keeps things interesting, even if it makes my head spin sometimes. Yeah, you're right. It's like a constant puzzle, and we're all just trying to piece it together. As long as we can laugh at the occasional grammar blunder, I think we'll survive the linguistic roller coaster. Agreed. And hey, we can always rely on spell check to bail us out when things get too wild. Thank goodness for spell check. Imagine the chaos without it. Ha, seriously? It's like our grammar safety net. But you know what's also tricky? Figuring out when to use a versus an. Like, is it a university or an university? Oh, that's a good one. I think it depends on the sound that follows, right? And is used before words that start with a vowel sound. Right, but then there are exceptions, like a university, because even though it starts with a vowel, it sounds like it starts with a Y sound. English loves to keep us on our toes. Tell me about it. And don't even get me started on the whole whose versus whose confusion. I can never remember which is the contraction and which is the possessive. Yeah, that's a common mix-up. Whose is short for who is or who has, while whose is the possessive form. But hey, mistakes happen, right? Absolutely. I guess that's part of the learning process. And you know what's funny? We're having a whole conversation about grammar, and I'm sure there's something we're missing or messing up right now. Oh, without a doubt. But that's the beauty of it, we're all in this together, navigating the twists and turns of the English language. It keeps us humble. True that. So, despite the occasional grammatical hurdles, I guess we'll just keep on learning and laughing at the quirks of English. Couldn't have said it better myself. Here's to embracing the language roller coaster. Cheers to that. You know, as challenging as it can be, I think it's this very complexity that makes English so rich and diverse. Absolutely. It's like each grammar rule and exception is a brushstroke on the canvas of language, creating a colorful and intricate masterpiece. That's a beautiful way to put it. And, you know, it's reassuring to know that even native speakers grapple with these nuances. Makes me feel less alone in my grammatical struggles. Definitely. We're all fellow travelers on this linguistic journey, stumbling through the maze of rules and exceptions. It's what makes language learning a shared adventure. So true. And hey, if we can navigate through the sea of its and its, there, and there, then we can handle anything English throws our way. Absolutely. Let's embrace the language, celebrate the hodgepodge of its intricacies, and maybe share a chuckle or two over the occasional misplaced comma. I'm all for it. Here's to the ongoing adventure of mastering English, comma mishaps and all. Cheers to that. You know, it's funny how, despite the challenges, English remains a fascinating puzzle. And hey, isn't it interesting how our understanding evolves over time? Definitely. I mean, think about how our perceptions of grammar have shifted since we first started learning. It's like peeling back layers of complexity to reveal a deeper understanding. True, and it's not just about rules, it's about effective communication. I guess that's what keeps us coming back to unravel the mysteries of language. Absolutely. It's not just about getting it right, it's about expressing ourselves clearly. And even when we stumble, there's beauty in the attempt. You're so right. It's about the journey, not just the destination. And you know, discussing these language intricacies with you has been enlightening and oddly comforting.